Let's grow together. Now more. Y'all, what's up? Welcome to the Now More podcast. I am so thrilled to finally get started, and I'm grateful to have you with me. Today on our episode, we are talking about really why we're doing this. Because your girl was forced. I feel like I was forced to sit down in this seat. The last thing I wanted to start is just another one of those seamless podcasts. So I know for a fact that not a single episode will be that. We're making sure that it is the community, the village that we all need and that all our babies have been looking for, asking for. Everybody asks where the village go. It's here. We here, right? So grab a drink, grab your notepad, and let's grow together. See you soon. I would feel so much better if I was drinking. I went to Total Wine yesterday, and I got this non-alcoholic. First of all, my boy called it cava. So apparently in Spain, what they call sparkling wine is cava. So it is de-alcoholized sparkling wine that's zero proof in some capacity because I'm not drinking. Apparently it is their number one best-selling wine. So we're going to try it. I'm not drinking. Honestly, I wish I was drinking. I'm not drinking because... Now, I'm going to keep it a band. I don't even really know that I'm supposed to be telling you why I'm not drinking, but because I'm on a spiritual journey, and what the church folks say, and I will tell you this, I do believe that there's a difference between church and kingdom and culture. And I think a lot of the things that we hear are from culture or from church, and I'm still learning what God says. So as an example, I know even like we're not supposed to pray. God says we are not supposed to pray. It pot like the real thing. God says that we are not supposed to pray just to be heard. Obviously, that does not mean we don't pray in public. But we're not doing it just so people hear us. And for me, I think that from what I understand, church folks tell you you're not supposed to tell everybody you're fasting. But I think it's the next phase. It was the challenge that I did. I turned 33, my birthday about a week ago. And yeah, so my birthday being a week ago, I turned 33, and they kind of say it's a Jesus year. So I'm just like, you can't have a Kobe year and a Michael year without giving Jesus his credit. And I did, even when I turned 31, I had on my like Reggie Miller jersey. I did other things. And so now I'm in my Jesus year. And ironically, we are also entering into our 10th year of business. And so I'm super excited because they have this business saying that suggests there's no such thing as an overnight success. Everyone that you believe is an overnight success, it took them a minimum of 10 years. And so kind of like bamboo tree, we'll talk about bamboo tree in depth at another time, but kind of like the bamboo tree, I don't expect on year 10, day 1 to just sprout up overnight. I know that it's no magic potion. However, I believe that there's something favorable about me entering in my year 10 and year 33 all at the same time. And I think kind of the same way we tithe, like knowing that God is going to give us back our 10% and the faith that we have. I believe taking away something that I enjoy. I've never been an alcoholic. It don't got no control over me. But I think fasting is a way that we are connecting and getting closer to and tapping into the spirit. So I love a vibe. I love a mimosa. I love a good brunch. Tequila is my jam. But literally, tequila's my jam, literally. But needless to say, I'm letting that thing go this year. So you guys will see me this year.
Oh, but next year.
Oh, it might, yeah, it's just for now. It's a fast. I haven't decided forever. And people do tell me that I might pick it back up. But from what I understand right now, I'm trying the things. And so y'all will see me with a bunch of different mocktails and non-alcoholic joints. And everybody else is having a damn good time around me. But honestly, I've always, and two, you know what? I become a dancer drinking. Like, I got a mean jig. I got a mean Millie Rock. When I feel good, I don't even mind standing on the couch or two when I feel good. But I've always felt like I want to be the person in the party that can have that same audacity, that same boldness with a bottle of water in their hand. Like, I want to be uniquely myself, and I don't want anything to alter or control that. And then if I had another reason, and this is where I'm going to take y'all to church, there's a scripture. So everybody talk about the Proverbs 31 woman. What people don't realize, though, is that before the Proverbs 31 woman, so actually it is a mom talking to her son, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, it is King Lemuel. And she is essentially telling her son what he should and should not do. Every single time I tell somebody I'm not drinking, they're like, well, Jesus turned water into wine. And it's okay. You're just not supposed to get drunk. And I did all those things to prolong my fast. And if I'm also being honest, I will tell you candidly that before I actually started fasting, I would not start because I was scared to mess up. And then I realized that that was kind of a perfectionist thing. And in truth, it was like, you can't fail Jesus. Like his grace, his forgiveness, his all of the things. So like this audacity that I had to be, or this thought that I had to be perfect for God, even in me, right, being tempted today, being perfect for God is just not real. Anytime I slip up, anytime I fall, I mean, grace is renewed every morning. So once I released that, and I was like, man, there's something wrong with me. Like, he ain't judging me in this way. Once I released that, I embarked on my journey. And King Lemuel was the thing that really, like, sent it home for me. And basically, it says something along the lines of, kings are not meant to drink wine, Lemuel. Leave that for the those who are kind of sad. Leave those for those who are misguided, misdirected. They not cool. So it makes sense why sometimes a homeless person outside is drunk at 9 o'clock. It make you feel warmer. It sometimes make you forget your circumstances. And at the end of the day, I'm not a boy. I tell everybody I am a girl. I am a whole girl. And I know that I'm not a king, but in context or greatness, transcends disciplines, if I am a queen, I think we go by the same context. So if we are based on awareness and our surroundings and our great responsibility, it is not for kings or queens to not have a control of self, to not be aware of their surroundings, to not be able to have this, honestly, like wisdom and guidance, and even discernment. And so I think that is some things in my past that is kind of made my vision a little cloudy, and being in certain circumstances where alcohol is important has made my vision a little cloudy, and so I've taken it away. So now, that's why we got our Rondell, Zero Proof, Cava from Spain, and it was $10. I'm not mad at it. So we gonna see if this thing good. I feel like I should have drank it first, but it tastes like a mimosa to me. I'm not gonna stumble in the same capacity, but it tastes good. It tastes real good, real good, real good. Not a single lean. I'm not gonna lean at all, but it tastes good. So 40 calories, little bit of OJ, little sprinkle of OJ. So it'll make me feel good. I look cute. All right, let's keep going with our icebreaker. We're playing We're Not Really Strangers. This is my first John. I feel like this is fitting for the day in terms of my perfectionist standards. So I'm gonna keep that one. Let go of your attachment to outcome. We just gonna ride. So basically, the way We're Not Really Strangers works is that every level advances. And so for every level that advances, the questions and the statements get a little thicker so that we can have a little bit more better community and connection. So I want us all to let go of our attachment to outcome. Everybody, that's a vibe. I feel like I can't choose a wild card again. That'd be whack. All right, my level 2 question for connection says, has a stranger ever changed your life? And I would say yes. I think in more than one way. I think that when I first think about strangers, I think about the people that we're passing on the street. I think about the people that we might sit next to at the bar. I think about the waitress. Just natural interactions that we have. I'm like, sidebar, treat your if people treat their waiter different than they treat you, they're not nice people. But when you can have authentic encounters with people, I feel like so many gems have been dropped and experiences that have left me a little kinder, have a little more gratitude and things of the sort. But when I really think about it in depth, I would say the books. I would say books, and I would say even social media. I don't know Malik Teal at all, but I feel like she my mama over my shoulder, and it's kind of my black girl guide to being a better woman. I don't know. Good night. How in the world did I forget about Kobe Bean? I don't know Kobe Bean at all. He is a stranger to me. I guess that's why. That's probably why I forgot. I feel like I know Kobe so well. But he also is like my man. Like my man is Kobe. Like that is my man. I would have passed out. So R.I.P. Bean. Oh yeah, for sure. But he has changed my life. But a lot of these books, there's a book that I really, really love called Not Nice by, I think it's like Dr. Aziz something, because I don't want to mispronounce his name, but that understanding the difference between niceness and kindness has not only been groundbreaking for me, but groundbreaking for my children, because they are so nice. They are so nice. And we have this idea that people can walk all over us, and our responsibility is to be kind, but we don't have to be nice, and there is a difference. So I would say it changed my life. But last one, level three. I feel like this is a weird question, but I think there's a way philosophically I can answer this. What would make you feel closer to me? So typically this game is played with another person, but for the sake of today, I'm answering the question to our villagers in our community. What would make me feel closer to me? Honestly, I think exactly what I'm doing. I found out the other day, so I know that physical touch is my love language, and I go get massages because of that, and it's a way of like loving me in different ways and like my self-care time. But I actually carry stress in my face. Like I grit my like teeth, and like especially being politically correct when I cannot say something, I would just, you know? And I went to go get a facial the other day, and I said, damn it, this is exactly what the massage therapist is missing. Because some of them know how to massage your face and your head and things, but for the most part, they're concentrating on the rest of your body. And I think little things like that are ways that I am finding out more about me, and ways that in that I am coming closer to me, putting myself in new situations and new scenarios, developing in terms of self, personal, and professional growth, as well as spiritually, I am getting closer to me. And it actually is my prayer every morning that God shows me more of the me he had in mind when he made me. Because on some for agreements type of time, I've been domesticated, and I've agreed that my name is Ashley, and I've agreed that I'm from South Carolina, and that I'm supposed to behave a particular way, and how culture has shaped us, or our parents have shaped us, and our communities have shaped us. I'm learning who I was really created to be, and I think everything that I'm doing is making me be a little closer to me, and I feel it. So we here to talk today about why I'm starting this podcast, and to keep it a band, I don't want to start this damn podcast, and I am really just acting out of obedience. It's not even a sacrifice; it is obedience. And I'll be honest, I can tell you that I've probably been beat into this position. So even though there's a couch here and there's like paint on the wall and like there's things that I did, like you wouldn't think that I was like physically beaten. I don't got no bruises to show for it, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally, I have gone through so many different experiences, and each one suggests this is it. Ironically enough, my mom actually told me some years ago, I wanted to go and get my PhD. And I wanted to teach collegiately. And my mom was like, yo, not that you're an outlier, but you are the exception. There's 30 kids in your sport management class, and you are the one who opened the gym. So you're going to go and talk to 30 kids, 60 kids, 90 kids, and you might have a few exceptions. But, like, if you go to YouTube, that's your audience. So she's like, whatever it is that you want to teach, you could teach that shit on YouTube right now, and that's your audience. And I was like, I'm a basketball trainer. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. And that was my plan. And I think one of the best things that we can do for ourselves is to remain fluid. And what I also like in my humility is I can tell my mama 10 years later that she was right. And if I knew better, I would have just jumped on YouTube 10 years ago, but I knew what I knew. And interestingly enough, the makeup of our community, the makeup of our circumstances in front of me, the scope was kids needed training and development. So the right now was kids needed training and development. So Crystal and I opened Iconic Sport Performance, and we started giving them sport-specific training for their basketball careers. And that was amazing. Interestingly enough, because I love how God works, the mission was always to educate both the parent and student athlete. So even though that was always the mission and that was what I heard, that wasn't always the action that I sought out to do. So the training was very, very focused to the child. And everybody talks about post-COVID, and you'll hear me talk about post-COVID a lot, but what it really comes down to is that post-COVID is really when I kind of woke up, and I was forced to wake up. I have an interesting story as it regards to cancer and, again, obedience and what I feel like that means. Now more is not unique. I actually got now more tatted on me. And I got now more tatted on me. I got now tatted on me when I had cancer, as I was going through cancer. But I didn't know why. It was just cool at the time. So a lot of it was just like mission. Oh, man, that worked. Title. Oh, that worked. Same thing, like tattoo. Oh, that worked. And then later, it's like, damn, that's why. That's why I did that. And so cancer for me was interesting. It was a very individual journey. I think, and I could argue that even my family took it on individually. I don't know that anybody knows how to handle that. My uncle's one of my best friends, but he was saying some weird stuff. Like he was like rambling. He didn't know what to say. My aunt is a nurse. She was giving me nothing but medical jargon. My grandmother's a prayer warrior, and my parents are professionals. I think in my dad's spare time, he do be scared for real, but he don't always try to act scared. And my granddad is the most realist of them all. And he's like, are you okay? And that was the most, and I had people around me that operated like Superwoman and Superman and all these different things. But of course, when you get by yourself, and I don't want to say performative, I really believe that I'm somebody who holds the communities I'm in together. And it's not me trying to be this Captain Save-A-Ho, for lack of better words. But I believe that I have a unique piece. I've even always said, like, I'm like the Ahmad in the soul food way in my family based on placement. And I'm the oldest grandchild. I'm the oldest sibling, low-key on both sides in a way. I'm mature. I have great responsibility. I've always been called to more. I've always been called to greater. My parents trained me to be that way. I've also accepted that call, not only from them, but now God as well. And even for myself. So even on some Kobe Bean, it's more, like more is what I reiterate, more is what I repeat. And so in going through cancer and getting the Time Is Now tattoo, and then after, thank God, beating cancer per se, I kind of look back and I'm like, damn, what was the point of all of that? Like, what happened? What the fuck? I mean, honestly, like, what in the world? And I want y'all to know I curse a lot, but my grandma be listening. So simultaneously. But those are my thoughts. Those are my raw, authentic thoughts. Like, what happened? How did we get here? And my truth is, cancer was my call, and people don't, and what I really don't appreciate that people tell me what cancer meant to me or what God says to me, because I just, like, and I know we do stuff to make people feel better, but I'm just like, it was my experience. It was my story. Like, the Holy Spirit is mine. God is my relationship. And it was my experience. And I can only tell you what I know. And I hope that what I share can make you more comfortable and connected and tapped in and all the things. But it was really on a tip of, like, all right, you not down there doing what I ask you to do. Come the fuck home then. Come back. What you doing? What are you down there playing on earth for if you're not doing what I'm asking you to do? And it was as simple as that. And so the preface to that was I was called to do a job. And I had this idea of, man, I did what my mom told me to do. I did what my family told me to do. I'm always the bigger person. I'm making great grades. I am such a astounding person. Which yesterday, interestingly enough, it was like, you did that for you. You didn't do that for me. Like, you did that for you. Which is true. Like, I know that all of the rules and the laws and the commandments and the things that God asks us to submit to and obey are for our own protection. But my displacement and my lack of faith and my lack of understanding at the time, my lack of knowledge, was really centered around this concept of, like, I'm only here for you. Like, God, you asked me to do this, I'm doing it. And it's like, when you giving, but you're not a cheerful giver, I don't want that. You know what I mean? When you are sacrificing something, but you don't want to sacrifice it, I don't want that. And so there's only but so long that we get to say, well, you know my heart. You know my heart. And you know I really love you. Like, your girl don't even want you. Like, your girl, like, don't give me flowers and you really want to give me flowers. And which is crazy. It's just how much I've evolved as a human being. I remember giving one of my high school boos a teddy bear for Valentine's Day. And I went to Blythewood High, and we had stairs. It was a nice school. It was gorgeous. And I came down the stairs, and I threw it at her. And I tossed it. It wasn't rude or mean, but that's how much vulnerability I was lacking. I didn't have a Rico Suave, like, hey, baby, here you go. Like, I got this for you. I was like, here you go. I was so cool. I've always been so cool. And I think what I'm learning as an adult is that relationships are relationships. So in context, as cool as I was back then is as cool as I was with my family, is as cool as I was with my friends, is as cool as I was with God. And technically cool is disconnected because cool is not real. Cool is not vulnerable. Cool is not really authentic. It is very performative in action. And it's honestly even outward. Who do people want me to be? How do I want to show up? What does this look like? And so as I began to unlearn and relearn, there's this context for me where I understand that I am called to do a particular task. And within that task, I have accepted, and it requires me to be vulnerable. It requires me to be real. And so the task was to educate parents and student athletes on the business of sport and consistently give God his glory. And when I was about 25, 26, I quit. I've been through enough scenarios. I used to coach at a high school, and it was a horrendous experience that maybe we'll have time to talk about another time, but it sucked. And I was just like, yo, it doesn't matter what I do not get the recognition I deserve. I deserve. And that became this theme. It's like I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of, my coach, man, he told the state paper, not like the Blythewood Chronicle or whatever these little like mini things are. He told the state paper, he said, this particular player was the sugar to our Kool-Aid. And I hope culturally you guys have an idea what Kool-Aid is, but Kool-Aid ain't Kool-Aid without sugar, bro. It ain't. And so I struggle to understand how I average 20 to 25 points per game and somebody else is sugar to Kool-Aid and they pass me the ball. I don't understand that. Those were my thoughts at that time. I am evolved, I am different, but I didn't understand. And I felt like consistently the work that I was putting in, I never reaped what I sowed. And so in the context, oh, well, you reap what you sow and it's going to come back and it's going, and maybe because my heart posture was off, and obviously that's what you hear now, my ego was wild. But I struggle with that. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with my mimosa. I remember being in school, scoring the most points. Let's keep it a band. In sports, if you're the star goes on the front page of the paper, period. I remember the entire article being about Ash and all the points Ash scored. But the name, right, and the highlight and the picture being someone else's. I remember even in the instance where the picture was supposed to be mine and my name was there, they put Y'all, they put the JV girl on the picture. And it was interesting. It was an interesting experience, but I have evolved. And so because I never really got the credit, by the time I had that final kind of straw that broke the camel's back experience at that high school, it was just another like, bro, these people don't want me. And I'm not sure how many of you guys know this, but in me being from Columbia, I ain't always been for Columbia. I actually, in graduating from school, I wanted to run as far away from the Met as possible. I've always wanted a condo in New York and a condo in Miami, and something screams Calabasas in my soul, in my spirit. So I might be out there. I might be out there too. But I never really wanted to come back home. But this yearning, this prompting, this idea upon graduation really suggested like, kind of like how dare you go to New York and help folks build what's already standing, knowing your community does not have, knowing your folks, knowing your people don't have. And I struggled with that. I struggled because on top of that, my community's not been the most receptive. Like, let's be honest, when you're scoring all the buckets, there's a lot of people that love you. The ladies love you, the girls love you, the boys love you, your teachers love you. I think I had a very OJ-like experience. There wasn't much that I could do wrong at Blythewood High. However, that didn't mean I was always well received. Everyone doesn't love you being loved, period. And so in that, I was like, bro, F this place. I ain't coming back here. For what? And it didn't matter where I went. I'll tell you the truth. I probably applied to 100 schools after getting out, upon graduation, as I'm approaching graduation, I should say. And I might have got a call back to one. And it was so crazy that I was like, no. Every job I applied to, every road I ventured down, it was like, you ain't going. You ain't hear me? You're not going. And not only did I have those promptings that was like, you shouldn't go anywhere else. They need you. Home needs you. Is as much as I also was actively trying. And by the time I reached 26, I quit. I was like, yo, I came home like you asked me to. I'm still not being received as you asked me to. The particular situation, I'm at this particular school, and it is a higher classification. So basically, the more people that are at the school, the higher in the class, and naturally, the more resources, the more tax dollars, the more eyes that are on these particular schools. So upon hiring, I'm in the paper, I'm on the news, and it is circulating to where I could go to Walmart and the cashier's like, hey, aren't you the girl who just got a job? So everybody knew. And they did their best. When I say they, the parents involved did their best to get me fired as loud and as ugly as I got hired, right? The polar opposite. So all of the love that I received in the hiring, the firing tried to be just as ugly, just as vicious. And I felt like all I did was what God asked me to do. I felt like I showed up as my best self. I felt like I put my best foot forward. I felt like I was leading children as I was called to. And I felt like parents were a major issue in that scenario. And that was my breaking point, to be not received again. And then on top of that, to understand, I did everything. The AD told me, he was like, well, maybe you can give him a pizza party. Maybe you can give him some ice cream. Maybe. And I did all of that. And to make it make sense, I got hired in July, but you don't do basketball in July in our area. You do basketball come Labor Day. So I got hired Labor Day. We started doing conditioning. Tryouts at the end of October, like Halloween. So let's keep in mind, Halloween is really my first time encountering these people. Because actually, the parent who really did it, his kid played a whole nother sport, like a fall sport. So it ain't had nothing to do with what we talking about. So I didn't meet these people until Halloween. By November 15th, my man had an entire petition started from the community stating all of these really foul and vicious things of how I was demeaning children, how I was really demeaning basketball. I was a poor representation of the school. But candidly, it really, I have information, I have screenshots and accounts and receipts, if you will, of even upon me getting hired, of just who I was related to, just the program I came from, like the beef and the politics surrounding basketball is as thick as the politics in government. Like, it is nuts. You shouldn't hire this girl because of who she's affiliated with and all of the things. And this is the direction. And so where kids in high school can transfer a little easier, it still wasn't as easy. So they want to try to make sure that they can politic to get the coach that they want for their child. And that is exactly what happened from the day I was hired until the day I was fired. The AD, however, because I came highly recommended from the coach prior to, was on my side and was trying to give me different opportunities. And the principal was not. The principal was not at all. And he just wasn't a sports guy. Didn't care about sports, period. And from November to April, I tried to save my job. I really, if I'm being honest, I'm like November to February, I tried to save my job. I tried to manage relationships. Me and the kids grew. We did decently at the school. But come February, I was man down. I wasn't who I needed to be as a trainer, privately, independently for my business. I wasn't who I needed to be as a spouse. I wasn't who I needed to be in my family. It really shook me to my core. And because it shook me to my core, I quit. And quit everything. Like, I'm talking about, I never smoked before I started smoking. I drank, but I wasn't drinking. Like, I'm talking about, I was spending money I didn't have. Like, I was doing anything I could to feel better, to rebel, and to run as far away as I could from the mission and the call, because I quit. I literally quit. So in that, as I'm out here partying and drinking and standing on couches and in Miami living it up and all of the things, slowly but surely I couldn't bend over without a certain amount of pain. And I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And I'm like, I should go to the doctor. And so upon finding out that I had cancer, and once I get to that point where I'm like, damn, what is this about? I realized God said, you quit, did you? So you either want to live for the purpose that I gave you or come back. It's that simple. No ifs, ands, or buts. And so I tell people a lot, I renegotiated my lease on life. So when I'm alone privately and I'm crying and emotional and really thinking about the things, I'm just like, no. You give me another chance. I promise you, I'll do what you want me to do. And I did it in my own way. So my own way was, and I'm learning that God will even take your haphazard yeses. So you could even not even fully, totally mean yes, but because you said yes, I got you. So I say yes, and I did my yes safely. So safely meant, God, I will be who you need me to be in these four walls. And I felt like every single person that came because God sent them. Like, we literally didn't even do any marketing and advertising. Like, it was referrals. It was people, I Googled you, and everyone's saying was like, man, I wish I found you sooner. And I would tell them, you found me exactly when it was your time to. And I believed that. And then COVID happened. And then in COVID happening, it felt like proverbially the state of our community was kind of burning. And people were individually saving their families and saving themselves. I think we've evolved from crabs in a barrel to drinking water and minding my business. So as things are going wrong, I save myself. I might save my spouse. I might save my children. But I am not helping nobody else put on their oxygen mask at all. I'm not helping anybody get out. And I think what's hard about that for me is understanding that if my neighbor's house is on fire, if I don't help them put it out, mine's going to be on fire soon. And as I stayed in the comfort of my own home and helped my community members grow, and we continue to kind of like evolve and adapt and get done what we needed to get done, I saw the community around us, particularly in the state of basketball, particularly in the scope of athletics, continue to dissipate. The quality, the integrity, the standard, the mission, the overall context. Like, sports has a mission and a purpose. And that began to fail. And so now, more than ever, it became a urge, a prompting, this kind of saying, maybe the Holy Spirit, if you call it, was just like, yo, you gotta get out of here. If you keep serving 2 people or 4 people or 20 people, even if you keep serving the kids, you missing their mama. So they're going to get back in the car with their mama or their dad, and it's going to undo what you just did. So efficiently, the work that you're doing is not able to be multiplied. The message that I'm asking you to share is not able to reach the people that it needs to reach, because you won't even record a damn video for Instagram. And it's crazy because at the same time, my pastor was saying the same damn stuff. So it's interesting that I think the people who are supposed to speak don't actually like speaking. And the people who probably shouldn't have a mic have mics. And so in theory, I get on Instagram too. So here we go. It's another person starting a podcast. And then I was about to be another person starting a podcast. And I'm just like, I ain't never really want to be everybody. I ain't never been everybody. So I'm not about to do what everybody's doing. But I have to understand that I'm not called to do what everybody does. And we may do it in the same context. We may do it in the same setting. But this is where we're at. It's 2024. People are on YouTube. People are on Instagram. People on TikTok for now. But this is where we at. So I'm starting a podcast because God told me to. But the mission of the podcast, the purpose of the podcast is centered around the title, The Time Is Now for More. So the same way Kobe told me more, God told me more, my family held me to more, I hold my kids to more, and I challenge my community to more on a regular basis. Accountability is what we do. And there's no time like the present. So candidly, the time is now. What are you waiting on? Of course you could have started yesterday, but the best time is today. The best time is today. So the time is now for more. And ultimately, when I say that, what I mean is the time is now for you to be the best version of yourself. And I think it is beyond time. It's a lot of trainers, guys. If I'm being honest, I love what I do. I am really good at what I do. I started coaching, quote unquote, when I was 14, but then I came to find out that was like actually training. Cause like it was like hey Ash, come up with a practice plan for today. Lead the practice for today. And thank God the AAU program that I was a part of was based and centered around development. So they were taking raw children and building them. So what I did and how I did it became not just, hey, we're going to do this 3-man weave and we're going to run these plays. It is how we are doing our crossover, how we are doing our between the legs, how we doing so on and so forth. So as much as I could be on the sideline, as much as I also was actively training, And so what ended up happening is I was 18. My next door neighbor was like, Ash, you play college ball. I got a kid who needs to, and they'll pay you. So shout out to my next door neighbor for bringing my first paid client. And my mom is I feel like she's Olivia Pope in real time. My mom's like, yo, we can start a business. I can make you business cards. I can make you a website. So here I am in college. I got a little business when I come home. And that's what I decided to do. So I've never really had a real job. I worked at Chipotle for one day, and it was really only like 4 hours. So and honestly, they didn't even give me a check. So I filled out the paperwork, and they gave me like free food for like a month after. That was, I think, the form of payment. So I'm like, this is all I've done. This is what I'm called to do. My family is in basketball. I am in basketball. As an outlier, my luck, my genes, and my skill, the timing of it all is centered around exactly what I do. However, I've been doing this almost 20 years now, and I think that is nuts. And I've been playing ball for even longer than 20 years. And I am so young, so I think that's a little crazy, and it looks a little different. But I have to also be comfortable, too, to be pushed. Like, I have to let God push me into whatever the more is. And so for so long, I've been the expert. For so long, I guess even before that, I was the servant, right? And then I was like, okay, I'm the expert. And so now I was the expert basketball trainer. But now there are so many basketball trainers. There are so many more bad. There are even more bad trainers, but there are so many good. There are so many people that can teach you a crossover. There are so many people that can teach you a jump shot. There are so many people that can do what I've done at Iconic Sport Performance for the last 10 years. And I am not who I am without those that came before me. So in that context, I'm a carbon copy, right? I'm not unique in that. But this podcast, this information, this message is what makes me unique. So to educate parents and students analytically based on the business of sport, based on data, based on science, based on who God has called us to be, based on what the world needs us to be, based on who our children need us to be, is where we've arrived. Because I have made some phenomenal athletes, like handcrafted, developed from zero to here, phenomenal athletes. I have entered in halfway through, phenomenal athletes. I have come in to some pro situations that couldn't be rectified because they're so old and they're already who they're going to be. But they were phenomenal athletes. My ISP, like my Iconic Legends page, is iconic. It is legendary. It is top tier. But I'm 33. If I stop there and I retire here, I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, if I am still training 20 years from now, like your kids, something is wrong with me. That makes me complacent. That makes me limited. That means I stopped growing. That means I stopped evolving. So in the more, this is the more. So now where I am venturing off to is to really teach people what we've learned. And more than I am just a business, more than I am just a basketball player, more than I am just a basketball trainer, an entrepreneur, any other title, and anything else that I've mastered or an expert. The world that I'm in now is child development. I am in growth and development. And thank God greatness transcends disciplines, because exactly what allowed me to be profitable in business and have quality relationships in business is what's helping me be of quality for the children I show up for every day and the families that I show up for every day. And what I know and what remains true and what is almost kind of like a mic drop, like if you don't hear anything else that I say today, we cannot have phenomenal children if we are not phenomenal. If we are not top tier, they are not top tier. And even more so than the village, right? Like the trainer you hired or the coach that you hired or whatever, the teacher, the school you send them to, because we want to send our private school money every which way. I believe that we are at a place where parents have this idea that I work so hard to give my children, right, the more. And we want to create the village as opposed to understand with our money, with our resources. But guys, there is nobody that your kid is watching more than you. We do a water balloon fight right before we go back to school every year, and I think it is the coolest thing I've ever done. Like it's ironic. Like now that I'm older, everything's cooler than basketball now, and I would have never said that, but the water balloon fight is like the coolest thing in the world to me. And the kids have a phenomenal time. But every single time, I'm the only adult out there with 30, 40 babies. And every single time, the parents are like, yo, Ash is the dopest. The pictures are cool. The videos are cool. The kids are like, Ash is the dopest. But I want you to know that if you got out there with me in that water balloon fight, I would just become a girl. And this would just become a gym, because nobody's more important than mom. Nobody's more important than dad. And it was you that was called to steward. And I can be your guide and I can be your resource. Ask for their teacher. Ask for their piano instructor. Ask for any other club or any other group that they're in, right, affiliated with. But there is nobody like you. So if you can take personal responsibility as a parent to continue to adapt, to continue to evolve, to continue to grow into not just who your child needs you to be, but into who God called you to be. If you can accept your assignment, if you can fulfill your purpose, if you can be obedient, then that is exactly who your daughter needs. That's exactly who your son needs. So in theory, the time is now for more. For me, for you, and in turn, your baby. Because I believe that our world will be a better world in a cliche way, because the children are the future. But we have to give them the skills in order for them to be that future. And right now, if we are teaching, if we are leading, if we are guiding, we are not giving them the best guidance. So we have created this podcast. We have created this platform. Every single parent I know, their favorite thing to say is there's no guidebook there's no handbook for parenting, and I know that, and I am definitely gracious in that. So this is the guidebook. So I'm going to have greats, like who are great themselves. I'm going to have people who have raised greats themselves. And then folks like myself who have trained and developed greats, who have studied greats. And we are going to have kumbaya sessions about greatness. So if you want a handbook of what it takes for you to be great, for your family to be great, for your children to be great, so that therefore our world can be great, this is that. And not because I want to, but because Jesus told me to. So I'm being obedient. I hope that you're obedient. I hope that you stick it out. I hope that you listen. I hope that you learn. And I hope that every single day you hear this voice in the back of your head that says more now, right now. Because my babies do it every day. And if these 7, 8, 9-year-olds are killing it and accepting the call and the accountability for something that they cannot see, they're running through brick walls that are proverbial, that are fake, just off this imagination. My ask, in a way, is that you pray, I pray, that we all continue to pray, that God makes us more of who he called us to be originally. I hope that we can have that childlike fervor. I hope that we can have that childlike faith. I hope that we can begin to dream again so that we can pursue the things that we were called to pursue. And I think that if we can all take up our own individual crosses and do what we're supposed to do, our world just look different, boy. It look different. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for listening. Every episode, I want to leave you with a quote. Our imperfections are what connect us to each other and to our humanity. Our vulnerabilities are not weaknesses. They are powerful reminders to keep our hearts and minds open to the reality that we're all in this together. If any part of this episode touched you, rocked you, even if you didn't agree with it, if you like, bro, what? I want you to comment. I want you to share. I want you to connect. I think in the connection is what makes us a village. I think even in our disagreements, even in our separate perspectives, even in our shared perspectives is where we continue to adapt and evolve and make this entire place better. And this is really that. This is the village. This is the grind. We're together. We locked in on this. But again, you never know this will reach either. So please, who needs this either? So please share. And I hope that you continue to rock with me. The time is now for more, and I will see y'all good folks the next time.